Hello everyone, this is Keilee and this is Elle. I was thinking that I was going to do my BJD Addicts prompt number 2, which is about fears in the hobby. But I started to think that maybe, if I just went right into that and didn't kind of explain a little bit more about me and my background, that it might not make sense. I might just come off like a crazy person, and I'll probably sound crazy anyway, but I don't know, I thought maybe I should tell a little bit more about my background. So once upon a time, I didn't really have a happy life. So when I got older, I realized that pretty much I was still like my own inner child. That's what I always described it as. I still like a lot of childish things, obviously dolls, stuffed animals, playing. I guess some people say that Lolita is kind of, especially the sweet Lolita, is kind of a childish looking fashion. So, that was fine. That's something that I've always liked. But, people aren't always accepting of that, and I had an ex who was not accepting of that. So even though I discovered ball jointed dolls when he and I worked together, and I discovered Lolita, and I was really interested in these things, but he basically said to me that it was creepy that I like childish things, that I shouldn't like stuff like that. Like, you're an adult, you can't like dolls and pretty little frilly dresses. So I had to suppress that part of my life. Those interests that I had to not indulge in them. I had to put them away. And even after he and I were not together anymore, I just thought it was something that must be silly for liking these things. So I didn't tell anybody that I liked these things. Instead, I focused on, being grown-up Keilee and having an adult life. And, I had to go to college. I had to start, having a job, even though I'm still in college now. But, and a lot of the job situations that I found myself in, I had to be this grown-up professional person, and obviously that didn't mesh very well with liking dolls and frilly little girly dresses. So most of the people that know me in real life or know adult Keilee don't know about my interest in dolls. So that's kind of a fear that I have, is that people don't know this part of my life and aren't going to accept it, are going to judge me, because people think they know you, and they want to stereotype you. They want to put you in this little box and say, oh, this person is like this, and they, if something doesn't mesh well, then you can't have that and this at the same time. And basically, no one knew me as, someone that would have ever, no one would ever think that I like dolls or frilly Lolita dresses. So it had to be a secret. Nobody knew that I was basically just this big dork and a little girl at heart. Until basically 2 major events changed my life. One was that I had a pretty big breakup that kind of changed my whole life. I had to suddenly find a new place to live. A lot of things changed. But then the other big thing was that I had this friend, he was like my best friend. We did everything together, and we had a big falling out. And the thing is, the people that know you the best, they know how to hurt you the worst. So both of these things in my life, really tore me down. First, the breakup, I suddenly was living on my own for the first time pretty much ever in my life. But the good thing about that was I was like, well, now I can finally buy a doll. I can have dolls, and nobody will ever know, because I have my own house, and nobody has to know what I do. Nobody has to know that I dress up when no one's around in frilly Lolita dresses and play with my dolls. So I started to do that. But the bigger thing was that, when I lost my best friend, we originally had a falling out about business things, but because he knew so much about me and my personal life, he was able to completely tear me down on a very personal level. So one of the things, about my job at the time was that, I did a lot of public speaking and public presentations, and this friend knew that, I've never been an excellent public speaker, or at least never very confident about that. I have a lot of confidence issues anyway. So, when we had this falling out, he basically told me that, I was a horrible public speaker all along, and that everybody hated me, the public hated me, that, our friends hated me, and thought bad things about me, and it shouldn't have, but it really got to me and affected me. And the outcome was that all my social anxiety issues flared up, all my trust issues. And in addition to kind of giving up on a lot of important things in my life and my dreams in life, I cut a lot of people out and I completely isolated, except for my boyfriend that I have now. He was kind of like my only lifeline to the outside world. So I just kind of locked myself up in my house and I didn't really go out. But that meant that I was like, forget people, I'll just surround myself with dolls because I love dolls and they're great. So anyway, it wound up being not so bad because, like I said, I suddenly, I started surrounding myself with dolls. There was also kind of a life incident from the past that I'll probably get more into that later, but in the long run it made me able to, there was money involved and I suddenly could afford dolls and have my own little world with all my dolls, and that's what I did. But in the end, I think, it really came full circle for me because, these bad things happened, which made me, have all these emotional times and, isolate, which wasn't good. But then since I was isolating, I let myself get into dolls and Lolita, and through that, it came full circle, and it was like suddenly I started reaching out to try to find doll friends, and I found a meetup group in my state. The meetup group was like 3 hours away, but I started going to that and making friends. I actually wound up making a local chapter here in my town for that group. And really full circle was that, that last month I wound up co-hosting a BJD panel at a anime convention. And, once again, got back into public speaking, had a really good experience doing that. So it kind of helped boost my confidence again after it had been destroyed. So anyway, this is really, this ended up being pretty personal, and I don't want to make this out to be like boo-hoo, poor Keilee, or anything like that, but I did want to kind of give a little bit more background about, why it took me so long after discovering dolls to actually get into dolls, and then why I kind of went all out hardcore. People always say, oh, you have so many dolls. Well, that's because I went through a rough time, and this was all I did with my life, was I just isolated and had my dolls. But in the end, happy times, so we are happy, and we have doll friends, and thank you for watching. I will get the actual BJD Addicts prompt number 2 up soon, so stay tuned for that. Bye!